Here are the teams with the most wins against the Associated Press top 25 in the last 10 years. Kansas has a 20-win advantage during a time when Michigan State and Tom Izzo have been pretty darn good as well. And then, of course, there's Duke with Baylor right there tied with Duke. Then Villanova, and they've struggled this year. Jay Wright out there around 500. Then you see, look at the teams from the Big 12. Kansas won, Baylor on the front list. There's Iowa State on the second row. There's Oklahoma and Texas on the third row. There's West Virginia and Texas Tech and Kansas State on the fourth row, and then Oklahoma State on row number 5.
Well, it's pretty easy to figure out why, one, Kansas has such a prodigious lead, and two, why there's so many Big 12, because they're kind of the same reason in that the Big 12 has been really good and has a lot of teams that have been ranked in the last decade and in the top 25 consistently. And the reason that Kansas has so much over even good leagues like the Big 10 and the ACC is that, one, the league has been really good, so they have a lot of ranked opponents, and two, there's not many teams that are better at home than Kansas is. I mean, they just win at home all the time. So it doesn't really matter what you're ranked when you roll into Lawrence. For the most part, almost within like the statistical margin of error, you're going to lose in Lawrence. That's kind of just what happens because they're so darn good at the Fog. And so that's why even teams that are great at home, like Michigan State and Duke, are so far behind them in that regard.
Everything you said is correct, but, man, you have become one of the biggest Kansas dudes in the last year, and I understand why. But
are you fed that material like someone about to go into
a print out before you leave?
I mean, look, I don't need to blow smoke up Kansas's ass. I
just said that, yeah.
I do know that if I don't, my life sucks later.
Well, yeah, and it's like talking points before a debate.
Yeah,
that's just what it is. Like it's a lot more firmer and like just. You know,
I'm not gonna mince words.
No. I mean, like I said to begin with, it's it's all true. But yeah, just having fun with the way that you address the Jayhawks now, and yeah, they deserve a lot of praise. I mean, they've been tried and true, and year in year out there, that team in the Big 12 that you have to beat, and Baylor's kind of ruffled the top of the leaderboard a little bit. Texas Tech's had fun with it. Texas is. Been in and out of that top spot this year, and, let's see where the chips fall. I mean, there's 2 more games to play, but, Kansas does look like they'll take another regular season title potentially, and then the tournament is anybody's guess. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know really what that chart means other than there's been a lot of winning in basketball in the Big 12, and, I mean, I think it's almost propaganda to keep patting them on the head and promoting them too much because I think it goes without saying now at this point. Now, we're not going to not say that because – that can be fleeting. And, the next thing you know, they're not the best basketball conference in the country. But right now they are, so I think it's important to point it out, as much as you can. But, yeah, that postseason run with the number of teams they end up getting in, whether it's 8 or 9, whatever it ends up being, is going to be a lot of fun to watch, hopefully. And certainly you can point at various teams and say, I think that they can make a deep run. I think they can make a deep run. I think they can make a deep run. It's a special time in basketball right now for this conference, and that's why, Brett Yormark's like, hey, I think, there's money to be found here. I think we can leverage this into, something else and promote this even more, and I'm excited to see how he potentially does that.
Well, here's the thing. Kansas, knowing Texas had lost, at home against West Virginia, needed a turnover in the last 5 seconds to hold on to win that game. That's how good the conference is.
Well, now, would you like me to burn down the building I just built?
Sure.
Bob Huggins spent all last week setting up the fact that he believes wholeheartedly, and I don't know if there's much empirical evidence in the other camp that Kansas doesn't get great calls at home. They do. They get great calls at home. Scott Drew's been saying the same thing. Like he wants, like Iowa State gets great calls at home because they have a great home crowd. So, but he said it's Kansas and they've built up this reputation. And he had a game
You're talking about Huggins.
Okay. He set it up where he was going in there, and he's complained about it for years. One time I remember, so much so that it got John Higgins in trouble with people outside of every fan base in the Big 12, but he gets a game where he gets the calls, he gets all of them, and then it ended on a travel.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things where it's like, oh man.
I would love to. I couldn't find the post game. Would have been fun. All right, so those are the games. That's the standing. That's what's going on. Some conference tournaments are about to begin. NFL